Hello guys, and welcome to Cars at 100. And on today's video I'm gonna talk about my personal car. It's been a year and 3 months since I got this car, and today we're gonna talk about 2019 Alfa Romeo Giulia Q4. So we're gonna look at this car in all of its glory, and we're gonna talk about the minuses, pluses of this car. Why is this car good? Why is this car should be avoided? For some people maybe should have been a little bit better, or maybe it needs some improvement. So I'm gonna go over details, outside, inside. I'm gonna tell you my personal opinion about this car after owning it for more than a year now. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump into it. Let's start from the exterior of this car, and let me tell you right away, the best feature about this car, the biggest plus of this car is its design and how good it looks. As you can see, we have this silhouette of the Italian design, and it looks really nice. You have this chrome exterior accent. It's a unique car on this market. It has been released for 2017, and this is a 2019 car, and it's been already on the market for a couple of years, and now they have the same body. Nothing has changed on the exterior except the interior, which is a little bit redesigned for 2020 and 2021 with the touchscreen, which is the biggest minus that this car has, and we're going to talk about it in detail. But overall, I also replaced these wheels. As you can see, this car had the same type of wheel, but the not staggered setup. Even though this car is a wheel drive, it still has a wider rear track in the back, and I put a little bit wider tire as well. So this is 235 up front and 265 in the back, for a little bit better handling. And primarily why? Because this car is mostly rear wheel drive, as this being the rear wheel drive design, Giorgio platform, as some of you might know. So this car has the proportions to be a nice sports car, and rear wheel drive for this car would be a little bit lighter compared to my car, which weighs a little bit more than 3,600 pounds. But the all-wheel drive version, it has some hefty weight to it. But overall, it's a nice car in terms of the design, in terms of the quality, and I would say it's a very interesting brand. It's unique, it's Italian. These cars are built in Italy, in Cassino, Italy to be exact. You also get the front Brembo brakes. Brakes are, a mixed feeling. For some people, for me, they're fine. The car that I previously owned was a Jetta GLI. Was a performance sedan, small performance sedan, actually the same dimensions as this car, but this car is a little bit smaller on the inside, which we're going to talk about on the interior as well. But these tires, I also replaced. These are not original tires. These are Continental Extreme Contact DWS06, which are ultra high performance all seasons. And this car came originally with the run flat tires, more Grand Touring tires to be exact. But overall, it's a nice design for the front. As you can see, this V shape on the grille, it has a real mean look to it, and this badge is really unique, different. Overall, I would say it's a very interesting car to drive as well in terms of the driving feel of it. As a benchmark, they used BMW 3 Series to have this car kind of bested in terms of handling, and I think they have done that. The steering wheel is much better on these cars compared to BMW. But overall, it's a nice handling car and a nice performance. One negative aspect I would say for this car as well is the exhaust note. As you might seen online, and a lot of people talk about it, the exhaust note on these cars is really mild. You know, you don't get any sound of it, especially having Fiat 500, that same company as Fiat and Dodge produce. To have that small car sound better than this car is kind of unacceptable, and this is the biggest one of the biggest minuses for this car in terms of the performance. You don't get a feedback. It would be nice through the dials that this car gets in terms of the DNA, dynamic, natural and efficient. DNA advanced efficiency. Would be nice if you could just turn off the engine note in the advanced efficiency and turn it back on, meaning opening the flats in the dynamic. This aspect would be nice for luxury cars, especially in our day and age, and it's very efficient. This is a 4-cylinder car that has 280 horsepower. The mirrors on the outside will close when you lock the car, and parking handbrake will be also engaged as well. When you don't have to think about it when you park this car on the slope or on the hill. You know, this will automatically engage the parking brake, so it will you know, be a convenient feature as well. The lights as well up front look really nice. This HID headlights and LED tail lights as well. You have this panoramic sunroof as well, which is a $1,300 option on this car. You have a full leather interior, and let's check this car on the inside. In terms of the key fob, this is my personal key fob. As you can see, I wrapped it in a aftermarket kind of a holster here. It's nicely, uniquely tailored for this car, and you have a nice badge in the back, a nice weight to the key fob, as well as the you know, size of it is quite big. You have unlock, lock, you have an open, you have a button for trunk release, which you have to click twice, and you have a remote start, which you have to click twice as well to start the car, and panic button. And you can keep this key fob in your pocket, and you have a keyless entry, keyless go in this car. And just like this, you will enter this car. In terms of the quality for these door cards, you have this leather wrapped, or leatherette rather, perhaps wrapped top section, which is nice. You have nice door opener handles here. You have a bass sound system. You can also get Harman Kardon sound system, but not on these particular cars. This is almost a base version of Giulia. You can get a sport version that you can opt for Harman Kardon, and you can also get 10-speaker audio system from Alfa Romeo. There's a premium sound system, as they advertise, which will give you 10 speakers instead of the 8 speakers that is on the base version, as this car is. As we go around, as you can see, here are the door sills, Alfa Romeo logo on them nicely. Very luxurious feel to them. You have seats here. These are base seats for this car. You have memory seating, of course. You have automatic adjustment for them. In terms of the bolstering on these seats, as you can see, you have very little bolstering on the bottom. These are luxury seats for the base version, and they are leather seats, so full leather seats, and you have some bolstering up here on the top portion of the seats, and you have a nice Alfa Romeo logo embossed in the headrest. Nice sporty pedals. Gas pedal is mounted on the floor, as you can see there. And if we jump inside, you have this nice luxury feeling. This is a luxury car, and you can really feel the luxury aspect of it in terms of the design, in terms of the, you know, dimensions and the quality. You can also get leather wrapped top portion of the dash as well for upper levels of the Giulia, which gonna be of course more expensive, as having to have more premium aspects in the car in terms of the trim and everything. But first impression for this steering wheel, when I first got this car, was really nice. It is not a big bolstering on this steering wheel, but still you have 10 and 2 notches, and having to have to be a base steering wheel, you still have a nice options in terms of the design, the leather wrapped of course, and lots of soft touch materials, and this is hard plastic here, but in terms of the design is really nice. It's a flat bottom as well. You have a start engine stop button on the steering wheel, which is kind of an Alfa Romeo Ferrari feel to it. You have gauges here. These are analog gauges primarily. You have a tach and speedo here, and you have Alfa Romeo logo there, nicely laid out as well. In terms of the quality for the, you know, that middle display, let's start the car first. And just like this, we will start the car. But one thing that, as you can see right away, the service engine oil level, and before that I had the engine oil exceeding the maximum level as well, which is kind of one of the most annoying things about this car, after of course this infotainment, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the engine oil thing, you don't get a manual dipstick up front. You get a, you know, the sensor, which is just like on BMWs and Mercedes-Benz, but it's a very weird you know, sensor, which a lot of people complain who own these cars as well. So one of the negative sides, negative aspects of this car is that sensor. But if we talk about that middle display there, not a lot of information. So that's another minus to this car. You don't get a lot of information in that middle display there, which you can control through this button here. So not a lot of controls, only one button that controls. As you can see how many, you know, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you basically have efficiency meter there, and you have the mile per hour, which is the digital speedometer, and you have trip A as well as trip B. And if you go into different mode, so you have 3 modes here. You have a D and A, like I mentioned before. So this is dynamic, which will put your car into most dynamic mode, meaning that the car will hold the gears more, and the throttle will be more responsive, as well as the brakes. They will be more precise. They will get also adjusted. So everything is as well as the steering wheel as well, it's gonna tighten up. So the steering wheel, a throttle response, and the brakes will, as well as the transmission, will be more tighter. It will be more sporty. So this car becomes more sporty in terms of its feel. And if you put it in the normal mode, the normal mode will make the car feel balanced, as I would say, between D and A. So it's basically exact the same as it stands here for, as being in the middle. And the advanced efficiency, which is the most efficient way to drive this car, is going to be very slow on the throttle input. Transmission is going to shift almost the same. It's going to be a little bit laggy in terms of the inputs. The brakes going to be regular, as well as the, you know, throttle response will be very dimmed as well. The steering wheel will loosen up as well. So this is the most kind of a loose feeling in terms of all the modes, and is the softest mode, I would say, compared to the dynamic here. So if we go into the dynamic mode and we're gonna go through the screens, you get a G meter instead of the efficiency meter there, and you have trip A and B as well, which goes for every mode. In natural mode, or this middle mode, you get also miles per gallon, which is a little bit differently shown, which is very lacking in creativity for this middle display. You have trip A and B as well. To have lack of technology features in a car, it's not good. I would rather have more features than less features, but this car doesn't even have middle ground. It's very little on features, and that's one thing that kind of negative as well about this car. But overall, there's not a lot of engine noise as well. I didn't know I would say this, but I would rather get a piped in engine sound if I'm in the dynamic mode, and this car doesn't even get that. So you don't even get louder engine note. It just sounds a little bit you know, louder because you pushing it more in the dynamic mode. It doesn't sound different like the other car manufacturers pipe in the sound, which this car actually needs, unlike BMWs, which already sound more powerful. You know, when you get more powerful engines and they pipe in the sound, this car really needs that. You have the digital meters here for the engine temperature and for the gas meter as well there. And you have automatic lights, which is good. You have rear fog lights here. You have automatic start and stop on the traffic light when you stop the car, and you hold it on a brake, it will automatically turn off unless you turn it off, so it doesn't do that. In terms of the steering wheel, you have the cruise control options here, which is adaptive cruise control as well as the Bluetooth controls here on the right, and the volume and the track next and previous buttons here as well. The volume you know, controls are like this, and cruise controls are like this, up and down. There's not a lot of buttons on the steering wheel, and you have one empty button here. A nice badge here, which is different than on the outside, as you notice. I guess this goes a little bit better with the you know, black and silver trim levels, you know, layout here. Interesting. If this was just a badge, a regular badge like outside, I would prefer this more, as this being an iconic badge, and this is just you know, like black and silver here. In terms of this infotainment, as you can see, the layout of it is very unique. It is not proportionate to the design, and you know, it's different. You get some you know, it's a matte display, but still you get some glare to it. And in terms of the design, you don't get a lot of features here. As you can see, that's all you get. In terms of settings, there's not a lot of settings here. You know, you don't get a lot of features, some convenient features, I would say. Lights you can adjust, how doors will lock. In terms of the car, right, you go into car settings and car status, right, you have the tire pressure monitoring system displayed here, and you have the maintenance as well. As you can see, my maintenance expired, and oil level which we talked about already previously. My oil was just like here like this morning, and now it's on the, you know, lowest setting, which I don't understand how this works. It's very frustrating for a lot of people. And you have some eco, this is split the screen, so you have eco on the right here. So it displays out of 100 you have 68, so how much you accelerate, decelerate, and gears. You have climate control options, which when you turn them on or off, you have a small display here that lights up, and you have automatic climate control, dual zone automatic climate control, and you have some vents in the back. You have two cup holders here. This closes if I didn't have a bottle here, but for the 2020 and 2021 cars, this is open, and this section is fully redesigned. Biggest minus for this car, there is no touch screen for 2019. From 2017 until 2019, this car does not get touch screen. The only way you can control that infotainment screen is through this dial, and sometimes it's frustrating. A lot of times it's frustrating because it's slow as well. It's not just no touch screen, it's also slow compared to the other automakers on the market. This is unacceptable. To be honest with you, this is one of the biggest minuses for this car. Even though you have a slow infotainment system here and no touchscreen, you still get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So if you're gonna get this car from 2017 until 2019, consider this as being one of the, you know, slowest infotainment options you can get without touchscreen, you know, option for it. So that's what you have here for 2019. But 2020 is a little bit better since it gets a touchscreen. As you can see here, you have a menu and option button, as well as the volume on off, as well as the track previous and next here, and you have up and down in terms of the volume knob here. There's no knobs on the screen and near the screen anywhere. And you have this dial for the, you know, the way the car behaves. You have this transmission lever. This is ZF automatic transmission for this car. You have the manual mode as well. There are no pedal shifters for this type of car. Pedal shifter should have been here, but this is cool. As you can see, it does it like a BMW. Cars do that when it jumps back. Since this is all electronic, this is not connected manually to anything, you know, mechanically. You have automatic parking brake here, which turns on in front through the infotainment. You can adjust it to turn off, and you can turn it off or on by your inputs as well. You have some storage here, which is quite big. There is one USB there and one 12-volt power outlet, two USBs actually for charging your devices, and one 12-volt power outlet. In terms of the design, and the glove box is quite big as well. Not that big, but it's quite roomy for this size of a car. You have nice trim here. This is plastic. For some Stelvios you get wood here. You can option, but the Stelvio is the SUV version of the Giulia, which has the same engine and you know, same kind of proportions on the inside. A little bit bigger, of course, than the sedan. But you have this section of the, you know, this one of the minuses for this car, as if you get like a luxury version of this car, you don't get you know, same color as the bottom section of the interior, the upper section of the interior. So you get two different colors here. You know, it's nice that, you know, silver and black kind of goes together in this interior, so it doesn't really differ that much. But you know, for your eyesore, but you know, still it would be nice if this was a darker color, since my Jetta GLI that I previously owned from this car had this in a color of the lower section of the interior. And as you can see, there's not a lot of legroom there. If the seats are all the way back, you can barely fit yourself there if you're 6 feet tall individual. But you have this nice panoramic sunroof here, which is really cool. You can open it, it's all glass on the outside. If this car was a different color than Alfa black color that this car is, it would the roof would be already in the black color. So yeah, you know, in terms of the, you know, aspects of driving this car, it's a lot of fun. This is one of the pluses for this car, as well as the design and as well as the brand. The minuses for this car is the, you know, quirks that you get. You still get quirks compared to what Doug Demura said for the Alfa Romeo, that when he reviewed the faster version of this car, Giulia Quadrifoglio. Also for the 2019 or 18, I think he reviewed that car. It had the before redesign for 2020. Still, there is a lot of quirks in this car. You know, everything is in terms of the quality. Steering feel is really good. Big plus for this car is steering feel. Engine is just a 280 horsepower. It doesn't have a lot of performance to this car, and even though this is a luxury and performance car, it's still faster to 0 to 60 than the 3 Series, as some of the journalists say, and I really do believe it, because this car hooks up really nice 0 to 60 and it goes. And even though you get a lot of turbo lag in this car, more turbo lag I would say, or the same as my Jetta GLI that I had previously. Transmission is, you know, even though it's a ZF transmission, just like BMW used to get, you know, still you get a little bit jerkiness in terms of the transmission, and it's a little bit rough. Even if you put it in advanced efficiency mode here, still you get this rough feeling for this car. But I would say overall, I would say I like this car, and I think it's a nice car, and it's a good alternative for BMW. If this screen was a little bit better in terms of the infotainment and in terms of the quality and how fast it was, I wouldn't mind that it's not touchscreen. But overall, I would say it's slow, and that's why it's unbearable. Sometimes it's you know, even though I updated this infotainment recently to a newer version, it got a little bit better, but still it's you know, it's a day and night compared to the infotainment options that Mercedes and BMW, and as well as the Audi, which is the top in infotainments. This car needs to compete with them directly, just like it's supposed to do on the market, and it does kind of do it, but it does not compete in the infotainment. But overall, I would say it's a nice car if you want to jump into something interesting, nice. In terms of reliability, I can't really tell anything except the oil level, which is kind of you know, downside to this car, and I would prefer it to be a little bit more straightforward and easier to use. And to change oil on this car is harder, but when you change the oil, all you have to do, it was hard for me to find a way to change the oil, to reset the oil you know, notification, which is very annoying. So what I ended up doing is you have to turn the car on. You have to turn the aux on, not without turning the car on. You press this once without turning the car on, basically not holding it on a brake, and then you press the gas pedal 6 times quickly, and then when you start the car, the message should disappear. It worked for me. Maybe it will work for you. I don't know, for 2020, for 2018, for 2021 or 2017. My car is 2019. Maybe it worked for me, maybe it won't work for you, but this is one of the things that this car is kind of known for, and I guess dealers want you to bring the car in, and maybe they don't trust the owners or people who might work on them themselves. That's my personal opinion about this car, what I think about this car. And if you have any questions about this particular you know, car, and what is the ownership like, you can leave a comment and I will respond to you. If you own this car, let me know what you think. And here's the engine for this car. As you can see, it's a 4-cylinder engine, and this car is efficient. I would say one of the good things about this car, one of the pluses, is that it's not just a performance engine, it's also an efficient engine. I think Alfa Romeo needs to do a little bit more, and they can do more in terms of the infotainment, in terms of the exhaust sound, in terms of making it a little bit more interesting. Let me know what you think about this car in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed my review of my personal car. I'll see you next time. Stay loving cars.